Happy Friday. Today we're going to be giving you a price update on the HBAR token, Hedera Hashgraphs network token. And we're going to break this down into past, present and future. So where we've came from, where we are today and where we are going. And despite the bleak sentiment in the cryptocurrency space, if you're a Hedera Hashgraph holder, I'm going to show you that in this video, it actually isn't that bad. And I think the first place I want to start is just with reminding people of the reality of being an altcoin investor. Many people have only entered the cryptocurrency market in recent years, but somebody like myself that's been here for a hell of a long time has gone through multiple cycles. And each one of them has been trying for altcoins, but had within them a real opportunity to make life-changing money. Cardano, many of you that know me from sort of 2020 onwards will know that this is an altcoin that literally did nearly 100x for us and many of the viewers of the channel. And to get that kind of a return in a multiple, unfortunately, you had to suffer the altcoin market, which is volatile inherently. It's filled with, as you can see, Cardano's journey from accumulation into an uptrend or a markup, brutal pullbacks. But this is just part of being in the altcoin sector. Unfortunately, I can't time every local high and local low. All I want to be in for, and all I think I can do, is accumulate during the right period and actually look to catch the bigger trend and uptrend, which I still think we've had a taste of for Hedera, but is largely still to come. But you can see Cardano's path to these kind of multiples: 75%, 24%, 26%, 21%, 32%, 43%. 37% and 62% before getting to $3 from mere cents. You can see this journey would have been a brutal one. And you'd have had similar emotions to what you have today. I think this particular cycle has been a little bit harsher on altcoins because we're yet to really see BTC dominance fall, but I do think we're on the cusp of that. We're going to leave that out though for this video, although we will be looking at HBAR versus BTC and showing you it's actually outperformed BTC and its entire uptrend to date. That is the reality. We'll also look at HBAR versus Ethereum, the S&P, gold, and then we'll get on to the HBAR chart today and where it currently is. Ethereum was a very similar story. Anybody that took part in this, I think we posted our buys on Ethereum at $100 or so. Been here that long, and timing the markets can often beat timing the markets. I do think that is true. Certainly historically true for the stock market. You can see the journey that Ethereum had to ultimately perform a 57x. It was a brutal one. There had been emotions tied in with all of this, but ultimately the bigger trend, the uptrend, and it's very interesting. If you were to look at traditional assets having this kind of a drawdown, you would probably say that they weren't in, if a traditional asset has like a 20% plus pullback, it's kind of bear market territory. I believe you can have brutal pullbacks like the one we're currently seeing in Hedera and many altcoins within a bull market. A bull market for me is an uptrending market. All that means is a market that's putting in higher highs and higher lows. And you're still getting that structurally in regards to the crypto space today, despite everything. So that's the reality of being an altcoin investor, I'm afraid. It's not for everybody. It is for everybody, but not everybody can handle it. And you need to put your sort of mental well-being, I think perhaps the people around you's sort of sake at the forefront. And, not everybody is going to be able to sort of suffer the volatility that's just inherent with this market. The markets broadly, it's widely accepted, sort of bottomed out in November, October 2022. This is the S&P we've got in red, and this is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's been on a tear. Since then, so has the S&P 500. Since then, and this uptrend that the S&P, Bitcoin, perhaps everyone's talking about gold's recent move, how has Hedera performed? This puts context onto everything. Well, Bitcoin since November, October 2022, or Hedera versus Bitcoin, it's up 16%. It's relatively flat. So it's actually outperformed Bitcoin to date from its uptrend starting in sort of November 2022. If you look at Ethereum versus Hedera, or Hedera versus Ethereum, from the bottom of the market, certainly the bottom of Ethereum's market, which I can show you if we put on the ETH USD chart, just to show you one example. This is roughly where Ethereum bottomed. In fact, it was potentially even further back, kind of giving it a bit of a grace period. Hedera is up over 100%, nearly 200% against Ethereum since Ethereum bottomed. The same is true for the S&P 500. It's up 300% against the S&P 500 today. And the same is true for HBAR versus gold. So actually, Hedera has not been a bad asset to hold whatsoever. Unfortunately, with the cryptocurrency space, it's volatile. There's going to be casualties that get sort of caught up in that. But actually, buying and holding Hedera, you'd have been better off accumulating Hedera at the bottom of Bitcoin and the S&P's market, and they then went on an uptrend, than you would have them. Also gold. You'd have been better off holding Hedera than gold if you had bought at the sort of bottom of the markets. And that is factually the case, which is a very different perspective to perhaps what is being sort of propagated in regards to sentiment right now. Hedera actually hasn't done that badly at all. And we've had a taste, to dive over to the Hedera chart, of what price movement looks like for this asset. It was an 800% rally that we saw last year on the back end of it. Are we going to get a similar November? Potentially. I don't know. But one thing that I am fairly certain of, and remember, always make your own investment decisions. Do not take anything that we say or do here as financial advice. There's not just a disclaimer here. There's also one in the description. It's not financial advice. Make your own decisions up. Remember, everyone's risk profiles are different. Crypto is very volatile. It's not for everybody. A few mistakes in crypto can cost you a lot of money. I know that firsthand. You can also make a lot of money with it, but there's no guarantees that that's going to be the case. When we look at Hedera, for me, we like to break the markets down into sort of 4 phases. I think this is how markets move. This is what I teach my Patreons. We also talk about it quite a lot on the channel. But markets typically move in 4 phases. This is a kind of continuation or kind of leans on Dow theory, Wyckoff's market cycles, which ultimately consist of accumulation periods, up markup periods, distribution periods, and downtrends. So phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now Hedera, where we were doing the majority of our accumulation and been making videos throughout the whole time, has gone through what I believe is accumulation. And it's now in a mark-up phase. And this was your sort of phase 1 resistance. You've now flipped that into support. And I think you have the rest of phase 2 to come. I actually think that this pattern here could potentially, if it plays out, there's no guarantees, set up for that continuation. Ultimately, I believe that Hedera still has phase 2 ahead of it. And just to show you some other examples that we called here on the channel, Robinhood is one. You can see your phases playing out. This is phase 1. You get a breakout, attempt at a retest before then continuation in phase 2. That's very much what we're expecting for Hedera, is continuation following the move that it had back in November. It's taken a long time, yes, I know, but the markets don't work to your timing. They work to their own. All you can be is an observer of them and a partaker, if you choose to, of them. This is Roblox. This was the recent one that we were looking at, this being in phase 1. A long period of accumulation, breakout, retest, and then continuation. The next move that Hedera has out of this, I think, is going to shock many people. It's going to silence a lot of the people that are doubting it. And unfortunately, people are very much like sheep. They'll just follow the herd. If everyone's bearish, they'll follow that. If everyone's bullish, they'll follow that. We like to not pay too much attention to sentiment, but focus on the charts and what they're telling us. And what they're telling us is, first of all, the reality of being an altcoin investor is a volatile time, unfortunately. That Hedera has actually outperformed from Bitcoin's low and uptrend Bitcoin, Ethereum, the S&P. It's outperforming gold today, still, so on and so forth. And I think that's going to continue to be the case. And if we look at where it currently is at present, it's not in too much of a bad situation. And moving forwards into the future, we still think we've got this really broad phase 2 ahead of us. So phase 1 for Robinhood into phase 2, very clear. Roblox is another one. And just to show you one more example, I could show you hundreds of examples. This is Cloudflare, or Net as it's known. Accumulation, breakout, retest, double retest, continuation. That's very much where Hedera is today. And sorry, that's Hedera versus gold. That's very much where Hedera is today. And ultimately, markets don't top on depression. They top on euphoria. And that euphoria for Hedera and Hedera holders, I believe, is still to come. We had a really great taste of sort of victory with this 860% move. It's then retraced in the typical fashion that crypto markets do. You'll then get continuation, I believe, and price discovery and new all-time high price action. That's my opinion. That's my conviction. That's certainly why I hold Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera Hashgraph is my largest holding. And I think it's for some of the reasons that we touch on in some of the videos that we do in regards to what it's doing fundamentally. It's going to play a big role in this kind of technological change that distributed ledgers are introducing into the world. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me. It's been a little while since we've done any kind of price analysis, but we wanted, given the sentiment, to put our best foot forwards and deliver today. That's what we've hopefully done. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I'll see you all in the next one.